A woman with visible frustration on her face began shouting, demanding to know where the homeroom teacher was. It soon became clear she was Yoonjun's mother. She directed her anger at the teacher standing before her. The teacher calmly explained, "Teacher Minyoung is attending a seminar today, so I'm temporarily," but before he could finish she interrupted, shouting at him. Her eyes then locked onto Karma, who was sitting silently in the same room. She turned back to the teacher and asked sharply, "Is it her? Is she the one who hit Myeong-jun?" Karma, sensing the intensity of the woman's glare, met her gaze. Yoonjun's mother scoffed, "Look at those snake eyes. What is she glaring at?" She stepped closer to Karma and screamed, "What are you going to do about my daughter's face? If Eun-jin can't get married because of you, will you take responsibility?" Remaining composed, Karma replied, "With all due respect, when it comes to Yoonjun's marriage, her personality is more of a flaw than her appearance." The comment sent Yoonjun's mother into a rage. "This is insane," she yelled. "Even if you beg for forgiveness, it won't be enough." The teacher stepped in, trying to calm the situation. "Please, ma'am, let's try to calm down." She cut him off. "Where were you while my child was being treated like this? What were you doing?" Turning back to Karma, she threatened, "You don't seem to know how scary the world is acting up like this. Do you even know who my husband is? He's the president of Noongun Corporation. He's practically the principal's brother at this school. Do you know who you've messed with? I'll show you." She turned to the vice principal, demanding, "Call this girl's parents right now." An elderly man nearby, hearing her outburst, immediately made the call. Karma, overwhelmed, began to cry, covering her face. Yoonjun's mother scoffed, "What are you crying for?" Through her tears, Karma raised her head. "You're all so cruel. I'm the real victim. I was just defending myself. Why does no one understand?" Yoonjun's mother, now even more frustrated, yelled, "What nonsense are you spouting?" Without a word, Karma took off her shirt, revealing several burn marks on her shoulder. This, she said, was Yoonjun's idea of initiation. The room went silent. The teachers were shocked at the sight of cigarette burns scattered across Karma's shoulder. Eun-jin, stunned, stammered, "I didn't do that." Karma, with a sinister smirk hidden in her expression, thought to herself, "Right, you're confused, Eun-jin. Good thing I burned a few on the way to school just in case." It was a bit of a hassle to secretly swipe the chief's cigarettes, but did you see, stepfather? This is how you create justification. Why wait a week? I don't feel pain anyway. All I had to do was hurt myself. Yoonjun's mother turned to her daughter. "You told me you quit smoking. Did you lie to your mother?" Eun-jin, clearly irritated, snapped, "Is that really important right now? She's faking it. She's lying." Karma said calmly, "She made her friends hold me down and burn me." Eun-jin, enraged, shouted, "Then you must know what brand I smoke, right?" She began listing cigarette brands, daring Karma to name one. "You don't know, right? You can't answer." Karma replied indifferently, "I don't know the names of South Korean cigarettes." Yoonjun's mother, still visibly frustrated but now slightly uncertain, asked Karma, "Even if that's true, is it normal to beat someone's face like that? Sihi and Sunun from your class are in the emergency room right now getting stitches. As the head of the PTA, I can't let this go. I will call a disciplinary committee and ensure you are thoroughly punished." She turned to the vice principal, shouting, "When are you calling her parents?" He, visibly nervous, responded, "I just connected the call, ma'am. You can speak to them now." He handed her the phone. Yoonjun's mother snatched it and immediately began shouting, but when a man's calm voice came through the line, she went silent. "And that man was Lee? Are you?" Yoonjun's mother, Lee, asked. "Yes, I am," she answered. "Do you know the state my daughter is in? Come to the school immediately, kneel down and beg for forgiveness." Lee replied coolly, "That will be difficult. I'm a very busy person, so visiting the school today is not possible. As for compensation, we can discuss it separately. We'll notify you of the date, time, and location." Then he hung up, staring at Karma. Yoonjun's mother hissed, "Like father, like daughter." As she took her daughter and turned to leave, she threatened, "Prepare yourself. I don't know who your father is, but I'll make sure you can never hold your head up again." After they left, Karma thought, as expected, stepfather seems furious. He didn't give any direct orders over the phone, but a slight smile crept onto her face. "Stepfather, your approach is too roundabout. I'll find a better way to torment Eun-jin as much as I want." Meanwhile, in class, Yejun was deep in thought. "Yoon, Karma, something about her feels off. At first, I thought she was just a naive, righteous girl from the countryside who tried to stop Eun-jin, but now it seems like she wanted to pick a fight with her from the beginning. She used Jun as an excuse and was obsessed with justification. She claimed she was just dealing with the troublemakers. in class and that people should be thankful. It's unnatural, as if someone implanted the idea of justification into her. Yoon, karma, an uncertain status defector with high combat ability despite being a minor. When it comes to instigating violent crimes, she's the perfect tool. Was her fight with Eun-jin really a coincidence? At that moment, Eun-jin walked into the classroom. Yejin asked, "What? You didn't leave early?" Eun-jin snapped. "Why did it take you so long to get the teacher? You could have brought a truckload of them in that time." Yejin shrugged. "Unfortunately, I don't have a Class 1 license to drive a truck." Eun-jin glared at her. "Isn't it important that I called them no matter the reason?" She smirked and added, "Let me guess why you came late on purpose. You were scared? Scared karma would see you bringing the teacher and come at you." Yejin said nothing, but her eyes sharpened. Eun-jin continued, "With your personality, you wouldn't just stand there and take it. Your little act would have been exposed. You hid while I was getting beaten because you were scared, right?" Without another word, Yejin slammed the book in front of her shut and hurled it into Eunjin's face. She followed up with a swift kick to the stomach, sending Eun-jin flying. Desks and chairs clattered around them. Eun-jin clutched her stomach, trembling in pain. Yejin removed her glasses and stepped forward. "Say it again. Say I came late on purpose," she growled. Eun-jin gasped, "Are you crazy? My mom just left the teacher's office." Yejin's eyes were cold. "Bring her back then. Let's see what happens." Eun-jin was stunned into silence. Yejin moved closer, her voice low and threatening. "Our cute little Eun-jin, you've been acting like a queen lately, but without your family connections. You're just trash, a low-life puppy we took care of." Eun-jin shrank back. Yejin added, "Stop acting up. If I were you, I'd be sucking up to your brother, the school's boss." Eun-jin, furious but shaken, replied, "I was going to do that anyway." She stormed off. "Puppy, you're talking nonsense. I was an idiot to think of you as a friend." Yejin sat back down thinking, right? Lee Myeong-jun, he was too calm for a man whose daughter died. If he's really behind karma, I'll find out soon enough. Depending on what Eunjin's brother does today. In class 3, a boy laughed cruelly. "You look ugly. Look at that swollen face." The girl standing before him was Eun-jin. The boy, her brother Song Ji-woo. She shouted, "You're laughing when your sister got beaten." "Stop yelling. It's hurting my ears," he replied. "This is the seniors' classroom, you rude brat." She glared. "Beating me is a challenge to your authority." "Well, you're not wrong," he said casually, "but I'm just not feeling motivated." "What kind of motivation do you need?" she asked. He grinned. "Is the girl who beat you pretty?" Eun-jin paused, then silently showed him Karma's photo on her phone. "How about now? Feeling motivated?" His eyes lit up. "My mouth is watering." His name was Song Ji-woo, 18 years old, perpetrator C in Lee's daughter's school violence case, charged with illegal filming and group sexual assault. Eun-jin, smiling darkly, thought, "You're finished now, Karma. There are plenty of girls who suffered from him and never reported it. How dare you mess with me? Just wait." After school, outside, a group of boys led by Ji-woo stood in front of Karma. Ji-woo smirked. "You look even better in person. That cold expression is pretty too." Karma didn't respond. "To commemorate your arrival from North Korea," he sneered, "we'll make sure you feel good." Eun-jin approached from behind her brother, flanked by her friends. She shouted, "See now, spy, do you understand who you messed with? You picked the wrong person." Karma said nothing. She simply stared at them silently. Ji-woo stepped closer to Karma with an evil grin, commenting that she was still giving him that death stare. He said it was even better that way, more exciting than those who started crying right away. He told her about a girl named Lee Hyena, someone just like her. He said he missed that girl, that he had treated her nicely, but she had gone and died on him. As Karma turned around, she noticed a few guys standing behind her. Ji-woo told her not to mind them. They were just there to make sure she didn't run away. The guys were huge, with large builds. Ji-woo explained that he had picked the strongest ones on purpose, but since, in his words, she was going to get caught anyway, he added, with a wicked smile, that they shouldn't waste each other's strength. Laughing, Ji-woo took out his phone to start filming, calling it his artistic endeavor. He told the guys to begin, instructing them to strip her. As the men approached Karma, the scene shifted to Lee's office. Lee sat in his chair, asking Chief Beck, who was standing before him, if it was possible for a woman to overpower multiple men barehanded. Lee began to reflect aloud on the physical differences between men and women, saying they were greater than people often assumed. He recalled a mixed-gender martial arts match from the 1990s. The female fighter had been a 4-time world champion, undefeated and hailed as the strongest in her category. The male fighter had been a no-name champion from a local league in the same weight class. Despite her career achievements, the man had won overwhelmingly by TKO in just 2 rounds, simply because he was male. Lee stated that generally women have about 70% of the muscle strength of men at the same body weight, but when differences in body size were factored in, a woman's overall strength was less than 60% of a man's. So he concluded no matter how skilled a female fighter might be, overpowering multiple men was nearly impossible. Beck replied that if the woman in question was Karma, then it was possible. When Lee asked how, Beck thought to himself about Karma's first physical ability, the scene shifted back to Karma. She punched one of the men surrounding her, sending him flying with blood gushing from his nose. Everyone, including Ji-woo and his underlings, was stunned. Beck explained to Lee that Karma possessed something called hysterical strength. This condition, first identified by physiologist Walt Casey, was caused by a sudden surge of adrenaline resulting in extreme strength. Beck continued, saying that due to a biological experiment by North Korean authorities, Karma's hypothalamus had been altered, allowing her to increase her adrenaline levels at will. In this state, Beck said Karma's punches had the power equivalent to those of a male heavyweight fighter. Returning to the scene, one of the men, frightened by what he had just seen, asked the guy next to him why it sounded like a watermelon had just exploded from her punch. He pointed out that Minchul had just been sent flying. His friend replied in disbelief, asking if she was even real, then muttered that they should forget about Jinwoo's sister's revenge and just leave. Ji-woo, frustrated by their fear, shouted at them, calling them cowards and reminding them that they outnumbered her. If they surrounded her, she wouldn't be able to fight back. The men circled Karma. Seeing them close in, she spotted a nearby retaining wall and began running toward it. The others gave chase. Karma ran along the wall and delivered a heavy blow to the big guy in front of her, striking his face and knocking him unconscious. She then grabbed him by the hair and smashed his head into a nearby bollard, drawing blood. The other men were horrified. One rushed forward to attack her. Beck continued explaining Karma's abilities to Lee. He said her second ability was dynamic vision, allowing her to perceive opponents' movements in slow motion. In line with this, she also had superhuman reaction time. Beck elaborated that Karma had repeatedly taken stimulants, causing her basal ganglia, responsible for motor control and time perception, to develop abnormally. As a result, ordinary punches could never land on her. She effortlessly dodged the attack, then delivered right and left hooks to the men in front of her, knocking them down. Another man charged at her, but Karma kicked him in the face, knocking him out. Beck told Lee that Karma's reaction time had been measured at 27 milliseconds, equivalent to that of a cat, 10 times faster than an ordinary human. Just then, one of the men grabbed Karma from behind and shouted at the others that he had her. He urged them to act quickly before it was too late. Another man, bruised and tumbling forward, rushed to punch her, yelling that she was dead. Karma tilted her head slightly, avoiding the punch, and immediately kicked him in the stomach. The man holding her from behind gripped her head tightly, but she smashed his groin with her hand. He collapsed, begging her to stop, admitting he was wrong, but Karma, unmoved by his pleas, crushed his groin again, effectively ending his masculinity. Another man, terrified by her, ran away screaming that no one had said she was this crazy. He cursed Ji-woo and declared he was leaving. Karma gave a sinister smile at his words, but didn't let him go. She kicked him in the back, sending him sprawling in front of Ji-woo. The man cried out for Ji-woo to save him. Karma stepped on his head, smashing it into the ground. Ji-woo watched in shock. Standing over the fallen man, Karma addressed Eun-jin and her underlings with a wicked grin. She said only the ringleader's brother remained. Seeing them frozen in place, she asked Ji-woo why he was just standing there. She reminded him that he had promised to make her feel good. Then, with a mischievous smile, she added that she hated oppas who were all talk. She taunted him, saying she was just getting warmed up and now he was cooling her down. With a psychotic gleam in her eyes, she ordered him to stop standing there like an idiot and come at Yoon, frightened, pushed Ji-woo to fight. She demanded he do something, pointing out he was the school's #1 fighter. Even her friends were scared. Ji-woo, hearing this, thought to himself in disbelief, was this really about being the school's top fighter? He wondered how they could expect him to face someone so insane. Realizing there was no other option, he considered running. Karma, noticing him backing away, asked if he was trying to escape. She told him to run if he wanted to. Unlike them, she enjoyed playing tag. With a smug smile, she added that if he thought someone as weak as him could run well, he was being overly optimistic. With a deep threatening voice and a fiendish expression, she told him that she had escaped from North Korea alone. Whether they ran north or straight to hell, she would chase both him and Yoon to the ends of the earth and beat them up. Terrified and angry, Ji-woo lunged to attack. He yelled at her not to get cocky just because she'd beaten a few weaklings and threw a punch at her face. Karma blocked the hit with her shoulder, which took the impact. She laughed, acknowledging his boxing skills, and declared she would respond with boxing too. She took her stance. Ji-woo, frustrated, began throwing punch after punch. Karma dodged them all smoothly. He managed to parry one of her hooks and nearly landed a counter to her face, but she dodged it. He thought to himself that if she landed a liver shot, he'd be in serious trouble, and tried to block it. Karma did land a liver shot and then created distance. She told him he had blocked it and acknowledged that he really was the school boss. Ji-woo, however, was shocked by the punch's power. Though he had blocked it well, it still left him struggling to breathe. But with a sinister smile, he thought to himself that if this was all she had, then things were easier than expected. He began to laugh. Karma, surprised by his reaction, asked what was so funny. He replied that at the beginning of the semester, to become school boss, he had fought the boss of a nearby technical school, a 185-centimeter, 115-kilogram muscle-bound freak. That guy's punches had been stronger than Karma's, yet Ji-woo had still won. He told her that while her punching power was impressive, her stick-thin body wouldn't endure as well. He rushed at her again, aiming for her face. Karma dodged each strike. The one punch came dangerously close. Ji-woo noticed that her dodging had slowed. He believed she was getting tired. He figured she must have exhausted herself fighting the others. He decided to apply relentless pressure, a barrage of attacks that would force a mistake. Karma stumbled against a scooter and tried to regain her footing. Seizing the opportunity, Ji-woo put all his strength into one blow, but just before it landed, Karma vanished from his sight. She had moved far away in an instant. Shocked, he had no time to react before Karma landed a powerful punch on him. Beck explained Karma's third physical ability to Lee, explosive steps powered by extraordinary leg strength. Beck reminded Lee that Karma, despite weighing only 48 kilograms, had a 250 kilogram 1-rep squat max. When she exploded with that kind of force, Beck said opponents felt like she had teleported. Ji-woo fell to the ground from the punch. Yoon and her underlings approached him, worried. Yoon, crying, screamed at him, demanding to know how the school boss could lose to a single girl. She pulled on his arm, urging him to keep fighting. Ji-woo yelled back that if she was serious, she should fight Karma herself. Trembling, Ji-woo heard Karma's voice. She praised his toughness, saying it had been a while since she had such a good plaything. Her heart, she added ecstatically, was racing. She told him to hurry up and keep playing with her. Bruised and frustrated, Ji-woo accepted the reality he couldn't win in a fistfight, but he had another idea. With a wicked look, he thought to himself that on the ground it might be a different story. Though not certain, he believed her insane punching power couldn't come from her weight class alone. At 183 centimeters and 92 kilograms, he had a weight advantage. If he could get her to the ground, he could overpower her. He noted that her fighting style was that of a striker, and that her center of gravity was too high to defend against a tackle. He planned to fake a boxing move and then go for the takedown. Rushing her again, he moved in. Karma noted that he was charging in blindly again and warned him it wouldn't work, but Ji-woo tackled her, bringing her down and pinning her legs. Back in Lee's office, Lee asked Beck if Karma would be in danger now. Given the nature of ground fighting, Lee reasoned that her dynamic vision would be less effective if a heavyweight like Ji-woo pinned her. Her strength would be nullified. In such a situation, even Karma might struggle. Back at the scene, Ji-woo climbed on top of Karma, tightly gripping her neck with one hand while raising the other to strike. Beck turned to Chairman Lee and said, "Do you know what I've realized while coaching Karma in martial arts? Her talent overall is actually quite average. However, there was one martial art, just one, that she showed an innate talent for. At that moment, before Jin-woo could strike Karma, she escaped his grip and locked onto his leg. He was shocked, wondering why he was. Suddenly the one pinned beneath her, Beck continued, the most effective martial art for overcoming gender and weight disparities is jujitsu, and, as I mentioned earlier, Karma's reaction speed rivals that of a cat. It should be nearly impossible for an ordinary person to take her down, but if someone ever manages it, it would be because she let them for fun." Karma now had Jinwoo's hand in a vice grip. With a manic glint in her eyes, she leaned close to him and said with a twisted grin, "I was getting bored of striking anyway. Appa, are you tired of boxing too? You know, when you challenge someone to a ground game, that means you're ready to have one or two things broken, right?" Jinwoo's face twisted in fear. Her words chilled him. Karma smiled wickedly and asked, "Shall I break it?" Before he could answer, she snapped his arm. Eun-jin and her friends watched in horror as Ji-woo screamed in agony, begging her to call emergency services. "Call 119, he cried, tears streaming from his eyes, but Eun-jin, frozen with fear, began to turn away. Ji-woo shouted after her in disbelief, "You're really leaving me like this? At least call the police." But Eun-jin and her lackeys turned their backs and ran, watching them flee. Karma chuckled and muttered, "That damn girl has no loyalty at all." Then, turning back to Ji-woo with a maniacal look, she said, "But calling your sister a toxic person makes you no better than her, right? Stop whining over a single arm. I just had a fun idea." Her face twisted into something far more terrifying. "I think I'll break the rest of your limbs too and turn you into a human plaything." Ji-woo, panicking, shouted, "Think about this carefully. My arm can still recover, but if you break all four of my limbs, can you handle that? Are you going to take responsibility for my life?" Hearing that word, responsibility, Karma paused for a moment and muttered, "I'm not good with things like that." Grabbing his leg, she added coldly, "I just want to hear you scream some more." She proceeded to break both his legs and remaining arm. Ji-woo shrieked as she stood over him, laughing cruelly. "You're bawling like a baby," she taunted. As Jin-woo cursed at her in agony, she stepped on his groin. "In both North and South Korea, men are always the issue," she sneered. "I heard you've done terrible things to girls with this thing. One of them even took her own life, didn't she?" Jinwoo's face twisted in pain and confusion. "Who are you?" he shouted. "Are you a friend or relative of hers?" Karma scoffed. "Are you dumb? I defected here alone. Why would I have friends or relatives here?" She leaned closer, voice icy. "This is just for my amusement. I've always been curious. Why do strong men act so tough but cry like babies when someone grabs this?" She pointed at his groin, then ignored his pleas and crushed his genitals with her hand. Jinwoo's cry echoed through the street like a man who had just lost everything. Meanwhile, Eun-jin had fled far, never daring to look back. He glanced over her shoulder and asked, "She's not coming after us, is she?" They all paused. Sonium said nervously, since Jinwoo's scream stopped, "Is it okay now?" Eun-jin replied, "I don't know, that actually makes me feel more uneasy." He looked around, worried. "Why is no one else here? If there were people on this big street, we could ask for help." Eun-jin hesitated before explaining, "That's because whenever the guys want to mess with a girl, they make sure no one else can come this way. Until we're off this street, we won't see anyone." He grew frustrated. "Why do they go through with that dumb crap? Those useless perverts are no help at all." Sonium glanced around nervously. "Anyway, since she hasn't caught up to us yet, we're safe, right?" He nodded slowly. "Come to think of it, I haven't seen Karma for a while." Eun-jin froze. Her eyes widened in fear. Sonium asked, "What's wrong?" Yeonjun's voice shook. "You haven't seen Karma on this wide open street. The guys were right behind us, but Karma is nowhere to be seen." Seeing the fear on her face, he asked, "What happened?" Without answering directly, Eun-jin shouted, "Run! Just shut up and run, damn it." They took off again, but exhaustion quickly caught up to them. Sonium gasped for breath as he asked, "What's wrong? Is someone coming?" Eun-jin shouted again, "Think about it. We ran away only 3 minutes ago, but in that short time, The girl who should have been right behind us is gone. See, he paled. Eun-jin glanced over her shoulder. I don't know what it is, she said, but I've got a bad feeling. Guys, just keep running. Before she could finish, a scooter slammed into her. Karma had arrived. Eun-jin flew to the ground, rolling from the impact, clutching her leg, and crying out in pain. Sihi and Sonium stood frozen in fear. Karma, stay on scooter, with a wild glint in her eyes, tells her, you're saying one thing, but doing another, she said coldly. You told them to keep running forward, so why were you looking back? Sonium, stunned, whispered, why is Karma here? Karma smiled and explained, I took the electric scooter Jin was lackeys brought, went around the block, and got ahead of you. This thing's been illegally modified to exceed speed limits. The Americans call that tuning, I think. She cracked her knuckles with a smirk. I thought I had tuned your mental states well too, but seeing as you acted up again, I guess not, then. Leaning forward with an almost playful gleam in her eyes, she said, that won't do. I need to teach you a lesson. Her grin widened. It's time for a review. You adorable little brats. Sihi, terrified by Karma's words, began to run away from her. Karma, chasing after her on a scooter, caught up quickly and grabbed Sihi by the hair, dragging her along the road. Back where Eun-jin was, she and Sonium watched in horror as the injured and crying Sihi was dragged toward them. Karma sneered and said mockingly, look at this little brat, isn't it obvious that something on wheels is faster than your feet? She turned to the group and added with a smirk, if anyone else wants their skin exfoliated on the asphalt, just let me know, I'll gladly peel it off for you. Eun-jin and Sonium froze, fear written across their faces. Not long after, the three girls were kneeling in front of Karma. Karma looked directly at Eun-jin and asked coldly, now tell me, what were you planning to do after stripping me? When Eun-jin remained silent, Karma leaned in, her gaze sharp and dangerous. Aren't you going to answer? She pressed. Karma then demanded Yeonjun's phone. Give it to me, she said. Eun-jin, shocked, asked, why the phone? Seeing Eun-jin hesitate, Karma stepped on her knees. The pressure made Eun-jin cry out in pain. You could have just given it to me when I asked the first time, Karma said coldly. Eventually, Eun-jin handed over the phone, her hands trembling. Karma opened the photo album and paused in surprise as she came across a photo of Jun, a girl from their class without clothes, holding up the phone. Karma asked harshly, why are there so many revealing photos of Jun on this brat's phone? Are you a pervert? Eun-jin turned her back and muttered, that's none of your business. Seeing Eun-jin act arrogantly again, Karma slammed her foot back onto Yeonjun's knees. None of my business, she repeated, voice filled with venom. If I wasn't careful, I could have ended up just like this. After taking pictures of me without clothes, you probably planned to use those photos to control me, didn't you? Under pressure, Eun-jin nodded in confirmation. Karma removed her foot and thought to herself, well, I just told Eun-jin I don't like the revealing photo thing, but honestly, I don't understand why people make such a fuss about being without clothes. What's the big deal anyway? According to my stepfather, she continued internally, my brain is so damaged from drug experiments that I can't feel shame anymore. Is that why I don't get it? Well, whatever. For normal people, having their private photos leaked is a big deal, right? A sinister smile spread across her face, right? There's no need to overthink it. I've thought of a way to replace my stepfather's plan. With that, she tossed Yeonjun's phone back toward her. Eun-jin looked shocked until Karma immediately slammed it to the ground, smashing it into pieces. Eun-jin cried loudly, overwhelmed. Karma approached her and said with a chilling grin, I just realized what my dream is. Eun-jin, frustrated and devastated over her broken phone, shouted, what are you talking about, you psycho? Karma gave her a wild, creepy smile. From today onwards, my dream is to become a photographer, she said. She turned her eyes toward the others. In your photo album, there were hundreds of poor Jun's revealing pictures. Even if someone paid you, you couldn't have taken that many. Taking pictures must be incredibly fun, right? Pointing to the phone in her hand, she gave them a choice. So here's what you can do. 1. Undress quietly and cooperate with my photo shoot. 2. Get knocked out and then stripped. Sonium, trembling, pleaded, we were wrong, forgive us just this once. We'll do anything else you say, anything but the photos like that. Before she could finish, Karma kicked her in the face. I guess you picked option 2, getting knocked out, she said coldly. Turning to the remaining 2, she added with a chilling smile, all right, the rest of you Hurry up and decide. If you can't, I can decide for you. Eun-jin and Sihi froze, terrified. Eun-jin clenched her teeth in frustration. Meanwhile, at Lee's residence, Chief Beck stood outside a room, deep in thought. Karma. She finally did it. She ruined the plan the vice chairman worked so hard on. He reflected on the mission. Her role was simple, using her unique body condition that prevents her from feeling pain or shame. She was to endure bullying from Yunjin's gang for 2 to 3 weeks. Then, citing that as justification, a school violence committee meeting would be held over summer break. The juvenile judge, already bribed by the vice chairman, would issue a Type 3 punishment. Community service for both. Eun-jin and her brother, they would be sent to a remote welfare facility for the disabled, actually a ghost facility set up behind the scenes. There, the Song siblings would be completely isolated and tortured for 200 hours. That was the revenge plan the vice chairman and I created. Sinking the boat on their return would have permanently silenced them. Beck clenched his teeth, but karma ruined everything with a single impulsive act. The truth is, the plan was flawed from the beginning. Using an impulsive psychopath as the main facilitator, the failure was inevitable. Just then, Karma returned from school. She spotted Beck and called out with a smirk, "Are you here to welcome me back?" Beck, visibly irritated, snapped at her. "Is all of this just a joke to you?" Karma laughed. "It's like a game." Beck exploded. To the vice chairman, this was revenge for his late daughter, a father's revenge for his only child, and you ruined it all on the first day. Karma tilted her head playfully. "Come on, Chief Beck, every time I see you, you look like you've never even heard of flexibility." She gave him a mischievous grin. "You wouldn't believe me, but I've come up with a better plan." Before Beck could respond, Chairman Lee appeared and ordered him to bring Karma inside. Once in the room, Karma barely had time to greet her stepfather before a group of bodyguards surrounded and restrained her. Lee, seated in his chair, looked her over coldly. "I heard you caused trouble on your first day of school," he said. Karma, unfazed, responded, "Don't you think it's a bit too much to have several grown men gang up on a frail girl?" Lee stood up slowly. "To us, Karma, you are more beast than girl, though I accepted you as my adopted daughter." He took the gun from Beck's hand and loaded a bullet. "This new father of yours is very disappointed." His voice dropped, heavy with threat. "Well, Karma, I'm sure you had your reasons. There might have been unavoidable circumstances, just like how I had to load this gun for unavoidable reasons." He raised the weapon, pointing it directly at her. "I told you clearly I wouldn't forgive you if you ruined things with your impulses." With the gun steady, he added darkly, "So for the first time in a while, shall we have a father-daughter chat?" Karma looked at him calmly, unshaken.